The campsite had been empty for weeks. At least that's what we thought when we arrived. It was an old abandoned site tucked deep in the woods, a place that hadn't seen visitors in years. There had been rumors, of course, tales of strange happenings and mysterious disappearances, but those were just stories, right? At least that's what we told ourselves. We didn't believe the legends. After all, it was just an old campsite, and we were only here to get away for the weekend. The kind of place that seemed perfect for a few friends to unwind, roast some marshmallows and get back to nature. But the stories about this place, they'd been haunting the town for years. They spoke of shape-shifting creatures, of werewolves that roamed the woods at night, hunting anything that dared to camp in their territory. We weren't foolish enough to take those stories seriously. Who would be? The very idea of werewolves seemed ridiculous, childish. Sure, the woods had an eerie feeling to them, and maybe there had been a few disappearances over the years, but that was nothing more than coincidence, nothing to be afraid of, But I was wrong. The first sign that something was off came as the sun began to set. The trees, tall and ancient, seemed to shift, their branches reaching like skeletal hands, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch and twist, almost alive. The breeze had died, leaving the air thick with an unnatural stillness. The fire crackled and popped, but the warmth from the flames didn't seem to reach us. It was as though the campfire itself was fighting against the chill creeping in from the dark. The chill wasn't just from the nightfall, though. It was deeper than that. A bone-deep cold that sank into my skin, making it feel like the very air around us was alive with something wrong. We sat around the fire, laughing at our nerves, pretending nothing was amiss. But the laughter was forced. Each of us felt it, the weight of the silence that hung around us, as if the woods were watching, waiting for something. That's when we heard it. At first it was barely audible, just a faint crackle of dry leaves, like someone walking far off in the woods. I figured it was an animal, maybe a deer or some other harmless creature, but as the minutes passed, the sounds grew louder, closer. The footfalls weren't light anymore, they were heavy, deliberate, like something large, something powerful was making its way toward us. I wasn't the only one who noticed. We all fell silent, staring into the dark, straining to hear, and then we saw it. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and hunched, its silhouette barely visible against the dark backdrop of the forest. Its eyes, those eyes, glowed faintly in the darkness, a sickly yellowish hue that reflected the light of our fire. It didn't move like a man. It moved like something that wasn't quite human, its body shifting unnaturally, twitching as if it was more animal than person. That's when the panic set in. We all scrambled to our feet, backing away from the fire. The figure didn't approach us right away, but it didn't need to. The air around us thickened, as if the very woods themselves were closing in, trapping us. We could hear the growling then, low, guttural, vibrating the air around us. It was a sound that made my skin crawl, a sound that came from deep within the earth, like something ancient and hungry. The branches cracked behind us. I spun around, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure was gone, but the growling didn't stop. It grew louder. Closer. Something was moving in the trees with us. It wasn't human. We ran. There was no time to think. Just a primal instinct to survive, to get away from whatever was hunting us. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have a direction. We just ran, crashing through the underbrush, hearing the sound of branches snapping behind us like the thing was chasing us. No, it was chasing us. We could feel its presence, like the air had turned cold with its breath on our necks. The growling was louder now, angrier, almost as if the creature was enjoying the chase. We could hear the rustle of leaves, the scrape of claws against bark. It was getting closer and we were slowing down. I glanced over at my friends, their faces pale with terror. One of them, Lena, was stumbling, her breath coming in ragged gasps. I grabbed her arm, trying to pull her along, but then I saw it, a shadow dark as pitch moving fast through the trees, and it was closing in on us. Lena screamed. I turned to see what was happening to her, but it was too late. The creature was upon us. I could hear the tearing of fabric, the sickening crunch of bone, and then silence. I didn't wait, I couldn't. The creature was too close. The others were behind me, but I didn't look back. I could still hear Lena's scream echoing in my mind as I ran, my legs aching, my heart hammering in my chest. The trees seemed to close in around me, the path growing darker, the shadows deeper, as if the woods were swallowing me whole. When I finally broke through the trees, I could still hear the growls, the howling of something hunting in the dark. The campsite was far behind me, but I couldn't stop running. I didn't stop until I reached the nearest town, gasping for breath, my legs shaking with exhaustion. But I knew what had followed me, what had taken my friends. The authorities came, of course. They searched the woods. They found nothing. No trace of the campsite, no sign of the creature, nothing. They said it was just an animal attack, nothing more. But I knew better. I had seen it, felt it, that thing in the woods, that thing that wasn't human. And sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I hear the howling again, the growls, the sound of claws scraping against the earth, and I wonder if I'll ever truly escape it. Do you ever get the feeling that something is following you, watching you, waiting for you to slip up? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Blue Sky for more bone-chilling chronicles. If you dare!